All right, let's get right into it. What's unfolding in Brazil right now is so much more than just another story about money. We're talking about a head-on collision between the country's political establishment and its entire financial system. And honestly, the outcome could really reshape who holds the power there. This is a story about who really runs the country when the rules get in the way. And that quote just nails it, doesn't it? This isn't your typical business news. The stakes are just incredibly high because what's happening is pulling back the curtain on how power actually works in Brazil. You see, for years, there's been this sort of silent pact in Brazil, an unspoken understanding between the political world and the financial markets. Everybody kind of knew where the lines were, the things you just didn't do. Well, that pact, it's just been completely shattered. For what feels like the first time in a long time, money is on a direct collision course with raw political power. And here are the two sides facing off. On one side, you've got the heavyweights of political power, the government, the Supreme Court, known as the STF, and the Court of Accounts. And on the other side, the financial system. We're talking about the technically independent central bank and the heart of Brazilian finance, Faria Lima, which is basically Brazil's version of Wall Street. So, what was the spark that lit the fuse on this whole powder keg? Well, it all kicked off with the collapse of just one financial institution, Banco Master. Let's look at how this one bank's failure managed to trigger a full-blown national crisis. So the central bank did exactly what you'd expect any serious monetary authority to do. It identified that Banco Master was a huge risk to the entire system because of a massive financial hole, and it started what's called an extrajudicial liquidation. This is a standard technical procedure. It's frankly what they have to do to protect everyone else. But here's the thing. This totally standard procedure was met with this wall of resistance from the absolute highest levels of power. What should have been a pretty straightforward technical process suddenly turned into a political war. And this is where the story gets really, really wild. I mean, just look at how this played out. Step 1, the central bank does its job based on the numbers. Then, step 2, according to the source, the Supreme Court gets involved, allegedly putting pressure on the central bank and, this is key, placing parts of the investigation under seal. And when that didn't stop the process, the Court of Accounts jumped in, not to investigate the bank that failed, but to investigate the central bank for doing its job. So you have to ask, why all this intense resistance? Well, the source points to something that should set off alarm bells in any democracy. It notes that Banco Master had million-dollar contracts with law firms connected to the families of Supreme Court ministers. Now, to be clear, that's not proof of a crime, but it absolutely screams potential conflict of interest. And it demands total transparency, which is the exact opposite of sealing the case. All of this alleged interference triggered something that has literally never happened before in Brazil. The financial market, which is usually pretty quiet and likes to work behind the scenes, decided to go public and fight back, hard. They published an open letter. This wasn't some quiet memo. This was a public declaration of war. The market was sending a crystal clear message. You do not interfere with the central bank's technical authority. For them, this wasn't about politics anymore. It was about the survival and credibility of the entire system. And the scale of this response was just massive. We're talking about 757 financial institutions putting their names on that letter. Banks, investment funds, the very core of the system. And it wasn't just the big guys in São Paulo. Another 689 credit unions also signed on. This just shows you it was a totally unified front, from the very top of the financial world all the way down, all saying the same thing. Let the central bank do its job. So, with the other branches of government caught up in this controversy and the market sounding the alarm, the whole battle has now shifted to a brand new arena, the Brazilian Congress. Yep, a request to launch a full-blown parliamentary investigation, a CPI, into the whole Banco Master affair has officially gotten enough signatures to move forward. This means the fight is about to go very, very public, and any secrets someone might want to keep buried, well, they could all come out into the light. Now, this is where it gets politically fascinating. Take a look at who wants this investigation and who doesn't. You've got support from a bunch of different parties, but there's one group that's completely missing. Not a single senator or deputy from the PT, the president's own party, signed the request. Not one. They've decided they do not want this investigation to happen. So, when you put all of these pieces together, the bank liquidation, the political pushback, the market's revolt, and now these battle lines being drawn in Congress, It all really boils down to one huge, fundamental question. This slide just lays it out perfectly. You have two completely opposite goals. The market's goal is transparency. Liquidate the bank, follow the money, see who was involved, and apply the rules to everyone, no matter who they are. But the political regime, as the source calls it, seems to want something else. Control. Block the process, protect powerful people, and keep the whole thing under wraps. It's a clash between exposure and secrecy. And that's why this matters so much. This one single case has become this massive stress test for Brazil's most important institutions. It's testing the central bank's independence, the financial system's integrity, the judiciary's transparency, and even the government's basic willingness to let an investigation happen. Which leaves us all with this final, incredibly powerful question. When following the rules becomes inconvenient for the people at the top, who really gets to decide what happens next? Who truly rules in Brazil? That question is being answered as we speak.